Hello there, family, friends, bus fanatics, and people I don't yet know out there in YouTube land. I want to tell you a story here. This is a story, a labor of love, and watching this because it's got more photos than videos will be a test of your passion and love. Anyway, this is a 1974 Crown. It's a humpback, sometimes known as an atomic because it was purchased through a contract from the Crown Corporation by the Atomic Energy Commission. This one was taking staff members for the Idaho National Laboratories from cities in Idaho out to the work site. I found this bus through a connection sitting in a salvage yard in Roberts, Idaho. I was actually on my way to Boise to pick up a flexible bus that I'd bought, and I stopped and I saw this and fell in love and made a deal with the owner of the salvage yard where it sat for 9+ years. I paid for it and I returned a couple months later to get it running, hopefully, and drive it from Idaho down to Arizona. So this is the documentation of that. I don't have as much video as I'd like because I lost much of it with a camera issue, but this is the story. On my return, I flew into Boise, picked up a couple 8D batteries, put them in the back of my little tiny Fiat 500 rental car, and then drove with the batteries and some tools to a friend's house. And they were nice enough to then arrange for their parents to drive me out to Roberts and drop me off at the bus. So with some parting wishes of good luck and my 10 gallons of diesel, a couple gallons of coolant, my tools, batteries, and my little backpack with some clothes, I got left out there with the bus in the hopes that I could get it running. Well, look at this place. I am up in Idaho. I'll tell you, when I was working on my dad's 1954 International pickup truck, would have been nice to know about this place. Anyway, came up, they got a couple Crowns, came up to look at those. They've got some old Brill, and then over there is the Atomic, the raised roof Crown. So we'll walk down there and take a closer look. That video clip was from my first visit to the salvage yard, and I was also really intrigued by these old ACF Brills. They were just cool old buses. These were not in running condition, but of course this is a salvage yard, so nothing in the yard was really in running condition. But I thought they were really cool. I liked the way the spare tires nestled into the back. But I was just most taken by this beautiful humpback yellow Crown, just sitting off to a side. The owner said it had last run 8 or 9 years ago. Looked like it was in really good shape and a good candidate for a rescue. And here's another little video from my prior visit. And this is the other one, Big Yellow. This is a 1974, I call these atomics, I guess, because they were used for the INL, the Idaho National Laboratories, for transporting people around. It's got pretty big bays, huge underfloor storage bays. This one drove here. We did just buy it. Sorry about the shakiness here. Anyway, it's got an 8V71 Detroit diesel in the back, tandem axle. I'll show you around inside here in a minute. So this one, because it was not a school bus, has like a coach door. The bodies are aluminum, but they do have steel in spots, and of course that's rusted out. That's pretty common there or in the wheel wells. But anyway, when you come in this one, there's a step up. Then you have a totally flat floor, which is pretty nice for conversion. This one has a 5-speed manual transmission. Let me show you this underbay storage here. Look at that. That is huge, and that goes back. That's got to be 12 feet from here. Just a ton of storage space. And I guess we get a free stove. The glass in this thing was in really good shape. The windshields are fantastic. There is only one broken side window, but every window had been left open. So the birds had been inside. The dash was just totally covered with bird shit. There was dust, really fine sand or dust or dirt all over the interior. It was probably at least a quarter of an inch, closer to half an inch in a lot of spaces. But I didn't want to spend too much time working on that. My goal was to get the thing running. So I went back outside and turned my attention to the mechanical things. The first thing I did was pull out this air cleaner, air filter, shake it out. It really wasn't bad because the engine hadn't been running, so it wasn't sucking all that dirt in. I put the new batteries into place and then added the 2 gallons of coolant that I had to the radiator and the cooling system. Unfortunately, it needed a lot more than 2 gallons, so I was able to find some high quality green coolant in a little retaining pond nearby. Then I pulled the valve covers off, made sure the injectors were free. Each side of this, each rack had one injector that was stuck, so I pulled those out and was able to get those freed up and then put the valve covers back on. Felt like I was in pretty good shape. I then turned to the electrical. The front start was not working. The rear start panel didn't work either. I did top off and prime the fuel system, but wasn't able to get the engine to crank over from back here. So I crawled underneath the bus with a screwdriver and shorted across the solenoid on the starter to see if the starter was bad. I only bumped it, maybe just half a second, and the thing started running. It scared the hell out of me because I was under the bus. It was in neutral and I was safe, but I wasn't expecting that. Well, it was super hot and I'd put in a long day. I was just still on a high from finding out that this thing was running like a champ. So I just spent a bit of time wandering around the salvage yard, found some cool stuff like this, which I was told was the drive shaft and pistons out of a submarine. That piston, these things were just huge. So with my foot there for scale, I just never seen anything like that. Found some cool old cars, cool trucks, things that I think would make great projects someday, but I just needed a bit of time to relax. So I wandered around, looked at all the cool things, and then it started to get a little dark. The salvage yard was closed already, and there's no Uber or anything out here, so I knew I was in for the night. So I started to ponder what I was going to do to sleep. I did not bring a hammock like I usually do, but I was able to find a semi truck and pull a mattress out of the sleeper. I scored this pillow, still new in the plastic, inside an RV that was on the property, so I was pretty happy about that. And I made myself a little bed with that semi-truck mattress, the pillow, and a moving blanket. After a relatively mediocre night's sleep, I got up super early, aired up the system, let the bus run for a while, checked the brakes, adjusted slack adjusters, didn't find any obvious air leaks. The system held air, brakes seemed to work. So I just spent the time until 8 a.m. when the owner could get there, uh, checking all those things. He came with the forklift and moved the things out of the way that were blocking my path and gave me a little tug to help get the bus pulled out of the holes into which she'd sunk. And once that happened, she drove like a champ. So this is heading down the road. There was a gas station just like 2 miles down from the salvage yard where I filled up the tank for the first time. And from there, hit the road south from Idaho down through Utah, Moab, and eventually into Arizona. So I was pretty excited. There was a bit of front end wobble. I know the front tires need to be replaced, so I kept the speed down to about 60, but had a totally uneventful trip. Got a lot of great comments on the bus every time I stopped somewhere, but finally got her home near Flagstaff. We live in Parks. So the bus is named Stevie after my buddy Steve, who made the connection to another connection to another connection that led to me ending up at the salvage yard up in Idaho. So Stevie's at home, and we will show more about her as we work on her.